Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have a special guest with us who is actually going to be talking about healing through uncomfortable emotions. So today we have Renee Lowry. She is a certified relationship coach in New York, New York. She is a mother of two beautiful girls and a wife of 20 plus years, has been called Emotions Public Relations Representative. She embraces this title because her passion is helping people understand that the emotions are valuable tools given to enable us to receive the best life as to offer. She has a degree in psychology. She's an international best-selling author of Strength Training Your Mind and Dear Self, as well as The Power of Why, Grow Up Already, founder of the Blueprint Method, Building Life Using Emotions, co-founder of the EEC approach, Sell Across Education Curriculum, and international speaker and coach. She specializes in repairing relationships, whether it is parent, child, parent, boss, the relationship with yourself, and coaching through major life transitions against parent, troubled child, death of loved one, any other stress crisis, marriage, divorce, or other tipping point, so that you not only survive the transition, but you come out on top, thriving and living your most authentic life. I'm Fatima.
I'm John.
Hi, I'm Cyrene.
Excellent. Well, let's bring on Renee. Hi, Renee. You're muted.
Hello, I'm happy today.
Excellent. So
I am, like you said, I have been referred to as emotions PR rep because that is where my heart lies. I have a unique understanding of emotions. Since I was very, very young, it has always been a habit, the way I behave, that I spin a situation so that it works to my best interest. It's like, okay, this bad thing just happened. What's the good thing I got out of it? That's kind of been the attitude that I've taken on since I was very, very small. And because of this, when I started to face really tough issues as an adult, I found myself in the middle of this extremely emotional, trying moment where I had to ask myself, okay, biologically, emotions are part of who we are. They are a part of us. They're part of our lives. So we basically had two choices. I could choose to believe that it was a tragic, natural byproduct of living that I would have to deal with, or I could believe that emotions were there for some purpose and actually served a purpose in our life. And so it was this line of questioning that kind of took me this rabbit hole, and I discovered an entirely different side of emotions that has transformed my life in so many ways. And literally every single emotion, uncomfortable or not, has a very valuable and amazing purpose that can help to transform your life and make it fabulous.
So when you say emotions, and they're there for us to sort of work through, do you have a specific technique that you use, or how do you actually work through those emotions?
Well, everyone is a little bit different. There are some overall encompassing tips that you can use to kind of navigate some of the more difficult ones. For example, any emotion that is survival based in that fight or flight part of your mind, like fear, anxiety, those things, very good way to almost instantly stop the fight or flight portion is to ask it questions. Because what happens is when you're stuck in that emotional frame of mind where your fight or flight is on, your fight or flight's entire purpose is to stop all the other options. So doesn't give you the opportunity to think about it, think rationally or any of that. So it has space. You feel your heart race. You know how it is when you get afraid of things. You know you are forcing that rational thinking, that understanding the question and answers, and you're analyzing what's actually happening there. And it instantly relieves a lot of the pressure from the fear and the trap that sucks you in and keeps you in that frame of mind.
Also takes your mind off of things too, right? I mean, you're literally
Exactly.
refocusing your, it's making you think something else. I mean,
that's very true also.
Hopefully...
But even just shutting off that fight or flight mode and putting it into a rational thinking part of your mind, it eliminates so much of the pressure that you feel, because it's working with that. Okay, it's not survival mode anymore. It's something that I can think about. It's something I can talk about and work through. It's not all or nothing and, oh my goodness, this is the end. So, yeah.
So those are some excellent, tips. And as John also mentioned, you're distracting yourself. But now, would you say that there's a certain amount of questions that you're going to ask, or and how long should these questions be, and what would be some of these questions that you would ask?
Well, it's probably different for the different levels of scared or anxious or whatever that you are feeling at the moment. It's also going to be relative based on what you can ask and answer, because the fight or flight mode and the way your brain thinks is so strong, it traps you there. It shuts off your ability to think. So by forcing the question to yourself, you might just only be able to get out why, but then you have to actively try to think, why what, why am I feeling like this right now? Why? Whatever you can ask yourself, and then try to answer it somehow. It could make no sense whatsoever, and then ask yourself again. And the more you just ask and ask, the more the right rational part of your brain takes over. So it doesn't have it. The time frame can range. It might take some people a long time to talk themselves down from this type of a situation, and others it might be very calm and nobody even knew you just did that.
That's what I was just going to ask, is sometimes when we're in these situations,
but it saved your life.
Yeah. I was going to ask, when we're in these situations, we sometimes only have a few seconds to analyze the situation. And basically what you're saying is talk ourselves out of it, or think of a rational way of looking at it a different way. Because it literally, like in this situation where, let's say you're walking into an interview, you only have literally a minute before you walk in, and you're going to be in front of a board of directors, someone for a job. How do you kind of, what would be, like, let's say you have a 1 minute version of doing this and a 10-minute version of doing this?
Well, I think that the more you do this, the more you work on this skill of questioning yourself, the more you discover what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and where it's called for and where it's not. Something that works really great for me is thinking about the worst case scenario. One of my favorite questions is to ask about what's the worst that could happen. And so, like in the interview, one of my favorite ways I question myself is, okay, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is I don't get this job. The worst that could happen is I say something silly and the job goes away.
Oh, I think we've lost you.
Can you hear us still though?
No, we lost the sound as well.
That's okay.
Well, so what they've been saying, it sort of comes back to John's point, is that it literally, we have about 60 seconds, more so 5 seconds, to make a decision. In that 5 seconds, our mind has already made that decision as to whether we're going to jump forward or if we're just going to keep ourselves in that, reserve, that scared moment. And now that we have Renee, you can continue talking.
Sorry about that. I don't know.
That's okay.
2020 technology.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just saying that, it's the more you use this, the more skilled you get at talking yourself down. And it's even different than talking yourself down, because that implies that there is an answer. And the glorious part about this technique is you don't actually have to have the answer. You never have to actually talk yourself down. It happens rather automatically just by you asking the questions. because it shifts from that survival brain to your rational thinking brain, and it does all of that extra stuff for you, and you don't even have to think about it. So it's less pressure. You don't have to think, oh, I have to talk myself all the way down. I have to calm down. I have to, no. You have to ask yourself a question. You don't even have to know the answer. You have to try to answer it. That's all you have to do. No pressure. So you can start to do that. And in that 60 seconds, it will start working, as long as you keep asking yourself those questions and keep following that rabbit hole and answering them, because of the shift that happens in your mind. You might not ever be talked all the way down, but you're going to be on the right path.
So what's the difference between being triggered from the past, as you know, a routine that you've always showed up a certain way, and behavior? So for example, like from your past, you're making up actually your reality is a lot different, right, from the past, and how you interact with people, and you're sort of trying not to show it, bring it up the same way, and have a biased opinion, as opposed to like being open. Like, how do you don't have the negative thoughts and change your scenario, like a way of thinking?
This is a great question, and there's a whole lot that I'm actually doing in my Facebook group. I'm doing a series on changing toxic patterns right now. It's an 8-week series, and there's you can go into great detail on this subject. However, for the overview, the best advice I could give anyone for conquering a past hurt is to completely embrace it. It wants to acknowledge, it wants acknowledgement. It wants you to say, yes, this happened. And then it also wants you to say, how can I use this to make me who I am? It's essentially that idea I mentioned at the first, where you're taking this terrible thing that happened and figuring out how to make it work for you. And when you acknowledge it and you say, yes, this is part of my life, this is how I'm using it, this is how it made me stronger, you automatically separate the bad. The bad actually is there, but it's helping propel you further rather than keeping you held back. So that is definitely one great avenue, is just accept it and wear it like a badge of honor. You know, this is my past. And you don't get to speak about my past. This is my past. I own this past. This is my wound, and it's a beautiful wound, and it's part of who I am, and I will never forget it and all the lessons that it taught me. I also like to look at past hurts as a cost of something greater. So when you make a bad investment and you just lost way more money than you should have, say, for example, the money was the price of the education you got in that investment, whatever it was that you learned there. So that it helps you keep a frame of mind of always learning, always looking for the lesson to validate the cost. And that way the cost isn't everything, because you know what you're getting from that that's worth that cost. And the greater the cost, the bigger the lesson usually. And you know what's great about those big lessons is that those are what propel you the farthest and the fastest. Those, you know, so it's those biggest hurts that makes us stronger, that makes us better, that makes us know exactly where we want to go in life and how to get there fastest.
I think you put it at the beginning where some people are sitting there whether they want to fight or run, you know, fight or flight. But if you just sit there and not do anything, you don't learn anything from it. You don't grow and expand your bubble, right? And we've all talked about this in the past. Is you got to be scared, right? Being scared, and it's almost like being scared and then on the edge of being scared and excited. You know, that's a fine line. Yep. And like the example you put with the money, yeah, a lot of people don't invest because they're worried about losing it. Well, they don't think about losing it. Think about what you could get from it. So if you have you change that mind shift, like what if my money doubles? What if I don't double, but I make a little bit, but I've learned that I've been able to make my money back or more. So that usually could propel you over into the other side of that starting line.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you hit on a valuable thing there too. Another great tip for any uncomfortable emotion is 2 little words, and I use them frequently. What now? because you don't just stop at having the emotion. Have the emotion, feel it as deeply as it needs to be. That sadness that you feel is there for a valid reason in your life, and it's not going away until you acknowledge it's there for a valid reason. So acknowledge it, feel it, understand it, learn from it, and then ask yourself, what now? Now, how do I use all of this information that I just learned from this sadness, from this anger, from this pain, to make educated choices for my future about how to avoid that next time, how to lessen the fallout from this sort of a situation next time? How do you use it purposefully to maneuver your future so that you don't have to experience those same things in the same ways over and over? What now?
I actually I like what you said about how the cost of our past is, our experience. I really like how you phrase that. That's really pretty cool. And then of course, this is a tool that we have to work with, is what now?
Right.
It brings us, like you said, it brings us back to the present, and it brings us back to like, okay, we're standing here. What are we supposed to do? Do we continue down this path? We have that choice to continue down that path, or we have that choice to change it. So that's a really great tool and a great question to be asking. Now, in terms of the degrees of emotions, right? So we have the good emotions, the happy emotions, the positive emotions, to very, very deep, uncomfortable emotions. Could you sort of give us a breakdown of the emotions in between? And what would be the worst or the toughest emotion to deal with?
It's interesting. I loved that you didn't call them negative emotions. You said uncomfortable, and you keep saying it that way. I don't believe that there are negative emotions. And this is a very hard question for me to answer, because I feel like my answer is opposite of what most people's would be. Because the emotions that I value the highest are things like failure and fear and pain, emotional pain. They are the fastest growers. Those are the ones that, like I said a minute ago, they are the ones that you can learn the most from the fastest. It's like ripping off the Band-Aid. You know exactly what moves to make because you have the evidence. The slower growers are things like joy and insecurity. Those have less, there's less learning, there's less understanding about who you are and what you need to make choices to make your future different. So I don't value those as highly as I do some of those more painful ones that are like ripping off the Band-Aid, because it's not a long-term pain, because I ask, what now? How do I use this? The thing you need to understand about emotions, I think, to fully answer this question, is you should think of your emotions kind of like your building codes, your owner's manual, maybe your navigation in your car. When you listen to the navigation in your car, it'll tell you where you need to turn, how to get there. You can always choose not to turn that way, but you programmed in the place you want to go, and your navigation's telling you the best way. It knows how to get there. Your emotions act the same way. Your emotions are just simply your guide. They're saying, hey, there's something about this situation you're not okay with. What is it? And that's for you. It's where you have to pair it with your rational thinking mind and discover, what is it this emotion's trying to tell me about something that's not working in my life right now, if it's uncomfortable. Or it works the opposite too. If it's a joyous occasion, what is it about this that makes it so wonderful for me? And how do I include more of this in my life? It's our guidance system. And as long as you can stay sort of between those two lines, then if you're paying attention to your emotions and making choices according to what your emotions are telling you, then you're going to stay in this nice gray area where everything's pretty happy and comfortable most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another question for you. So now, do emotions work on an energetic field, or is it just static?
Good question. I think on certain levels, everything kind of works on an energetic field. I absolutely see and agree with the value of the energetic field and the ideas of abundance and the mindsets around abundance. I get it, although I don't have a lot of formal training in that subject matter myself. I can see the value in it though. I like to think of emotions as purely scientific. I like to think of them that way, primarily because they get such a bad rap. They are kind of thought of as this mythical thing that we want to squish down and deny its existence of, and that it's some sort of ethereal plane of, emotions aren't that. They are scientific. Like I said at the beginning, they're biologically a part of us. So why? And so my whole entire message is your emotions are part of you. Feel them, understand them. They're science, so I really do. That's the part that I gravitate towards the most, is they are scientifically accurate. They have a purpose. What is that purpose? How do you use it? And I do love the whole how do you use it portion, because every different emotion, just like a different tool, has a different purpose. Like you could use a hammer to dust a light bulb, but it's not going to have the greatest of effects. You can use anger when you're sad, like we do very often when we get defensive or whatever. I'm sad that you hurt me, so I'm going to be violently angry towards you. Those are natural reactions that we have, but it's not the best one for sadness. The best one for sadness might be something else that's more of a healing thing, like vulnerability. When you're sad and you want to heal this relationship, you don't get angry and point fingers and point blame. You be vulnerable. You say, why did you say that? How do you really think that? Instead of fighting back, being defensive. Defensive is a kind of a cloaking emotion that does exactly the opposite of what you want every time. But it's a natural reaction we have. So it's kind of understanding this delicate balance of how these all work together.
So with what's been going on this year, what's some of the biggest concerns that people are coming to see you with, or what are some of the biggest issues that you're helping people with over the last 12 months?
Over the last 12 months, it has been a lot of fear around kind of what next, the unknown, what's going to happen, how do we survive, right? So that's the biggest one, is just kind of the fear of the unknown. And what I usually encourage people to do is to embrace the unknown, love it, cherish it for being not what it is right now. So, it's not going to get worse than this probably. And when whatever happens, even if it is worse, you're going to have more information then. Right. So make your decisions in a more educated environment and don't worry about it now. Because right now there's a million possibilities of how this whole thing could end, how this whole thing could continue. We have no idea. It's like all the dust is all around us and needs to settle. After it settles, we can make sense of it. But right now, trying to come up with an answer for what's next in the middle of this storm of dust, you can't see. We're blinded. We don't have any real answers. So spinning your wheels and trying to guess what's going to happen and being afraid of it is really counterproductive. So I really encourage people to wait for the dust to settle and then see what happens next. Just look for the places where the dust starts to settle and you can see more clearly, because that's the best thing we can do at times like this, I think.
So Renee, I'm kind of curious, what is your blueprint method all about?
My blueprint method is 6 steps. I call it the blueprint method. The blue is an acronym for building life using emotions. And so this 6 steps takes you through handheld steps to take you through a path that will help you build a life trajectory using your emotions. And it does the same thing that we've been talking about. The first couple of steps help you with acceptance, help you to see this is what's happening and it's okay. I'm sad and it's okay. These emotions are here for real reasons and it's okay if I feel them this way. Acceptance is a huge piece of moving forward. You have to know where you are before you can really get to where you're going intentionally. The second couple of steps help you to analyze and figure out what's really important to you. Understand where your own values are, how your mind processes information, and what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And it also, those two steps really help you to make it your own, not be afraid of what other people are thinking, because it's not their journey, it's your journey. And then the last couple of steps are about planning it into a blueprint for your life so that you intentionally make choices for your future by what your emotional guidance system is telling you. You are actively searching for what works for you, how to use your own cheat sheets. I work best this way. You might not. That's fine. This is how I work best. And my emotions tell me if I cross this line, I'm going to get furious. I don't want to cross this line. This is a hard red line for me. It's not going to happen. But I can go anywhere between here and there, and I know I'm safe. So it's really about creating those limits and making that plan, and also celebrating everything, because every tiny little piece of what makes us who we are, understanding ourselves a little bit deeper and really embracing that, is worth celebrating. And the more we celebrate, the better off we will feel.
Excellent. So we're actually coming to an end here. And so I actually have one question, and actually before I get to the question, did you have any final things that you'd want to say to someone dealing with some uncomfortable emotions?
Yes. Anyone dealing with uncomfortable emotions, the best advice I could give is to accept them and love them. They are making you who you are. They are giving you greater purpose, greater understanding, greater passion. You're understanding more about your own limits and what you can take and what you can't. And it is accepting it and learning to love all of this is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself, because it is the most freeing. What happens is when you are feeling hurt or damaged in some way, let's say you're embarrassed, you not only know you messed up, but you also are going to then suffer with self-judgment. You're going to suffer with guilt. And all of those are brought on by ourselves. We bring all that extra stuff onto ourselves, and it adds up, and it piles up so high that we almost can't dig ourselves out from under it. So get rid of all the stuff you put on yourself by saying, I messed up. Okay, what now? I messed up. This is who I am, and this is how it happened, and I wasn't anything I could do about it in the moment. I can do better. Did I? No, so I couldn't at that particular moment. Might have been nerves or something kept me from doing that very best that I could, but it was the best that I could do with whatever just happened. So just loving that and owning up to it and accepting it, and then you get rid of all of that fallout from the other stuff that we put on and impose on ourselves. I think that's the best first step, a bit of advice I could give.
I love that. That's amazing. Because like you said, we do put a lot of blame and guilt on ourselves for choices that we made at that time that were right for us. But then when we look at it, it's like, well, did I really make the right choice? Why did I do this? So that's amazing. I love that. So the final question I had for you, it sort of brings it back to what you said in terms of emotions being scientific. So now, are you saying that is there a specific part, are they neurological, or are they coming from your gut?
I think they're completely neurological. I mean, and I think they are they're part of your brain functions as well. So the way I like to think of it is it's another part of your brain. It's like, because our fight or flight is all there. It's definitely a part of our neurological thinking system. And it is our warning signs. Our emotions are our guidance system and our warning signs for our rational thinking. And so they have to work in tandem. The best way to use your emotions is to pair it with your rational thinking mind by analyzing your emotions. What do these mean? What's happening? Why am I feeling like this? And so I believe it is completely neurological. It is, I like to visualize even them working together. Like, okay, I am insanely afraid right now, or I have terrible rage right now. What's really happening? What's really going on? How does this work? What's, if you get in touch with what's real by asking it questions and pairing it with that rational thinking mind, you discover the pieces of it that you can use. So, for example, if you have a repeat issue that plagues you all the time, a repeat argument with your spouse, whatever it might be, you can look back and probably tell yourself exactly how it's going to start, how it works through, and how it's going to end. You have a very valuable piece of information to analyze right there. So what I like to do is I like to think about all the emotions that are involved and think about all the words that were said. And then I take all of that and sort of pick it apart. So which parts of this are okay with me? Which parts of these are not okay with me? Why is it not okay with me? And this is kind of where your rational thinking mind works with your emotions and your emotional thinking part of your mind to really help you understand more about yourself and more about your own guidance system and more about what you want, what you don't want. And you can also learn a lot about other people in this process. Oh my gosh, I care deeply about my husband, but he said something that really hurt me. Why would he say that? And then you have to ask yourself, do you really think he said that to hurt you? The answer might be yes, but it's most likely he didn't know he was hurting me. And when you are feeling that hurt, you don't think like that naturally. You don't think, oh my gosh, he wouldn't really hurt me. No, you think I'm hurt, and it's his fault. And that's all there is to it. But it doesn't work like that, because I heard something the other day that was something like, we don't look out for other people, we look out for ourselves. And that's true to a great degree. When we feel things, it's us that's feeling things. When someone else says something to you, it's them that's saying it. It has usually very little to do with you. Once in a while, they mean to hurt you, but it doesn't happen as often as we take it on ourselves that we're being hurt like that because of the way we feel it.
Almost like we freak out too easily.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we take it so personally, but sometimes it is absolutely not personal.
I know.
Sometimes
it's hard because everything is about us, right? Our reality is all about us.
Right.
How can we not take it personally, right?
Right. And this helps you to kind of keep a bigger picture vantage point, because the truth could be that your husband was having a terrible day. It could be that he had just gotten reamed by his boss at work and he came home and you said the wrong thing that set him off, and it had nothing to do with you at all. And he feels terrible about it, but all you're feeling is hurt. But if you give him even the slightest bit of a window that says, I don't know what that was about. I know I didn't do anything hurt worthy in that moment, so I'm going to ask him about it when things are calmer, then you can have a real conversation. So you can learn a lot about other people and the way they think and the way they feel by taking this approach also.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Love it. So how can someone find out more about the Blueprint program?
You can visit my website, reneelowry.com. I also have a book that is due to be released. It's available for pre-order right now. On September 29th, it is available. It's called Dear Self, Grow Up Already. And in this book, I walk you through all 6 steps of the Blueprint method and talk a lot in great detail about all of these things and how they break down, how they work together, how to build that blueprint for your life, and how to celebrate that you had a bad day today and that's okay. I walk you through every little bit of that. I also have a brand new group that I called Your Life Blueprint, where I teach relationship building skills using the ideas about emotions and the blueprint method to break down, like I said, the changing toxic patterns, huge issues that we face in relating with another person. And we break down those skills in tiny little bite-sized pieces to help you better understand what's actually happening there and how you can intentionally fix it for yourself.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Renee, for coming on. We will definitely be posting all of her links, so then you can get in touch with her if you want to work with her with the blueprint. So you will be able to do that. And as you guys know, we've got our 28-day challenge happening. So how many of you guys have actually participated? I know 3 of us are participating. And as we have noticed, there are dips and valleys. It's never a straight line, but that is always a way for us to learn. And for you to participate, it's never too late. Join our group and also check out our Facebook page, The Healthy Way of Vibes, where you can get some more information about the challenge. And you're going to get some cool recipes. You're going to get some tips, some exercise tips. You're going to also get some motivational tools. I'm not going to give it all away. You got to join the challenge in order to take part. And, you know, there are some cash prizes that are available. And on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about social media and how it has affected or changed our lives, especially in the last 3 months. And then on Thursday, we have a guest speaker. Her name is Lisa McGrath. She is a national board certified teacher, a personal coach, and she's going to be talking about, she's also a best-selling author, and she's going to be talking about forgiveness from the heart. So as you can tell, we have a little bit of a running theme going on. It's all about working on ourselves and, you know, helping others by helping ourselves. So again, if you have any questions, comments, please put them in the comments below. We will get back to you as soon as possible. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Renee.
Thanks, Renee.